You guys just watched Dr. Drew's very powerful interview with Sheilla Shea. As you can expect, Twitter was crazy. So many tweets. I have one right here from Leonard Gatson who said,
say it before you do, because you just made a comment before we started filming about how linear. I was saying that that she was contained and was able to tell her story in a meaningful narrative, and that's a sign of treatment.
That's a sign of treatment. That means that she's getting better, because in her state when she killed Patrick, there's no way she could have pieced together things in a sequential way, like storytelling, being able to put things in order. The fact that I could see that on the tape and for so long, because you were interviewing her for an extensive period of time, means that she's getting better.
And that she was coherent and like understood.
A lot of treatment. And then talked about it many times and made sense of it.
But I think for people that don't understand that, especially like our Twitter followers, it almost backfired, because now they're like, well, she looks fine, and she's just evil, and she's using this as an excuse. And I saw a lot of that on my timeline.
Well, he was saying, you know, mental health is, you know, mental illness is real, and it's sad, like you guys said, it's sad that someone has to commit this crime for people to take it seriously.
Right, or to get treatment. For God's sakes, you can't get treatment like that for an average person.
And Dr. Drew, but then also when you're finally taking the medication like she did, and then she started to feel good again, she thought, oh, okay, I'm cured, just like a common cold.
It's like antibiotics.
And you take it for 5 days and you feel
yes. And I read something great about
this.
Is that, and one of the ways that doctors and therapists can help is to actually talk about it like it's an insurance policy. That medication is an insurance policy, that you have to do it to protect yourself. And I think a lot of times people don't think about it.
And it's really hard even to understand. But both bipolars and schizophrenics don't want to take their meds, and it's the strain. They can't really tell you why, right? They never really tell you. The bipolars kind of don't like they miss their highs a little bit, but not really. When they go high again, they go, I don't really know why I didn't take my meds.
And Dr. Drew says it gets incorporated into their hallucinations and delusions that like somebody's going to poison them with the medication. So it's
or it's the drug companies coming after them and all this.
This is just my question, and you talked about this on HLN.com on the website, that this is like our problem of our generation is mental illness and mental health and all of that. But I mean, is it like autism where it just seems like more people are being diagnosed? So it just seems like there's so much mental illness these days.
Well,
is it just me?
There's more. Well, there's more personality disorder. Would you agree with that? There's more childhood trauma, which is why I got so upset about the child abuse thing, because that's all we see is childhood trauma. And,
so it is getting worse.
The personality stuff, the psychotic illnesses, the bipolars, the addictions, and the schizophrenics, in my opinion, are just not getting treatment. There's no resources for treatment.
Right. Well, because back in the day, what would they do to individuals like this? They put them in a hospital. They were in the psych wards, the crazy places.
Yeah, for years.
Just lock them up in shackles. They're not treating them.
But sometimes they used to treat them. We can't.
Sometimes.
Right. That was why they got dismantled, because they weren't doing that enough. And we just have nothing like that now. Now we have these sort of 3-day hospitalizations, so people just go in and out of hospitals all the time.
And with psychotic illnesses like this, it really takes a village. The individual cannot manage themselves forever. It takes support, it takes family, it takes community.
I mean, this woman, 9 years, and it still seems like she could be on the edge if she could.
Right, she has to very much be careful. It's actually really interesting. In collectivistic societies, schizophrenia and psychotic disorders have way better recovery rates. Why? The individual's never usually living alone. They're always around family and friends, and they can check them and say, you know what, you're getting a little out of sorts. Did you take your meds today?
And there's a lot of kind of fear of authority and systems. They rely on them to help them.
Right.
Rather than go, screw you, you're not the boss of me, man, which is what we deal with a lot here.
Yes. So. A lot of people on Twitter were asking about the daughter. Do you think she receives some treatment?
A ton.
Okay.
All the kids.
All the kids got a ton of trauma treatment. Again, that's why she was able to tell the story in a way that I almost couldn't listen to it.
How remarkable were the kids to handle it the way they did, though? For the oldest son to step in and stop his mom from
and all
killing
the while,
the rest
I
of
love
them.
you, Mom, you're okay.
I know.
Yes.
And I think that's what I felt. They knew that she was struggling.
Exactly.
So were they
I'll be honest. I would have been like, God, why didn't you take your meds? I would have been like, take your meds.
But they probably went through that in therapy.
They knew too that Mom was doing all she could, like 3 jobs to support, help 5 kids, and having a really abusive. And they, I mean, you heard the daughter go, "Mom, are you okay? You're kind of staring off in the side." So they all knew.
They just never
something.
imagined it would
Exactly, and they don't know what that is. They just knew she was never there
too.
Sometimes.
No, but you're right. I mean, the fact that they all forgave her, I think, speaks to what a great mother she was.
Well, that was the part that got me, and that if she did get the lethal adjustment, they would have had that massive loss.
Right.
They would have lost
a brother and a mother. I mean,
even when she was gone all that time, because she did 17 18 months in jail
Yeah.
and 4.5 years in treatment. So
she was cut off from that for a long time.
Yeah,
and they were in
exactly.
foster care for a while.
Oh,
Yeah, but they got good care, but for the grace of
Are
God.
they all back together? Do we know?
They all have relationships. I asked those kinds of questions. I can't remember exactly the response. Did you see?
I mean, they're
that?
much older.
that part.
Oh,
Okay.
one's 27 now.
Yeah, they all have
They're all
lives.
older.
Okay, okay.
They're all thriving,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Are there parameters in place to keep that abuser away from her? I know that was one of the stressors that.
My
Yeah, like,
understanding
where has
that
he
was-
been in 9
I don't
years?
know, but that was never like. It's not. Those people that go back to abusers, obsess about them, and think about them, and go back to them a
It
lot.
didn't seem like she
nobody
did
had any
that at all.
concerns about that.
Okay, good.
But that does happen.
So you asked a question. Was it you or was it you that where you were concerned now that she's outside of the treatment facility? How will she react? She recently, I read, her father passed away, and she handled it. They thought better
Like
than
that could
somebody that perhaps did have or didn't have a mental.
Like it could have
illness.
been a trigger to like send her
They
back.
thought
to
it
that
may
area.
be a trigger, but she handled it
Good
with
for her.
flying
They
colors.
seem, I don't know what state she's in, but Michigan is it?
No.
But whatever it is, there's some states that really are
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Some states really are models for how they deal with the criminal component of mental illness. Like I visited someone in Indiana who was a drug addict and was in a 5-year drug program in a prison. Fantastic.
Wait, hold on.
treatment.
Remember when I was on your podcast, we talked about penitentiaries?
Yes, penitentiaries were originally, this country was considered the model of the world in the early 19th century and late 18th century because it had the penitence systems of penitentiaries. People would go in and get better.
Not anymore.
that's
Like,
why-
privatized
That's where they
It's
lock them up,
why
throw away the keys.
Alexis de Tocqueville, who wrote Democracy in America, look it up, a wonderful book. The ruse he came here was to study the penitentiary system, but he ended up writing about equality and the process of democracy taking over the world at the time.
But if we could take more or better care and
Some states do it. Is it crazy thing? California's not one of those states.
do something about it, Dr. Drew.
Oh,
Going
right.
back to Vanessa's question too, I think it sounds like she did go through all of the appropriate stepping down of treatment to slowly start to integrate pieces of her life back.
Yeah.
So hopefully, when you were asking about that question of like practically, can she still do it
Yeah.
on her own?
Here's what I know
But
about
in the family, too,
but
knowing
here's what I
that
know about step down programs is they're still on her. They don't step down and let go. They step
Right.
down and are constantly
And
checking.
do you think she
Yeah.
knows now, has it hit home that no matter how great she feels until the day she dies, she's going to have to take medication? Does she really understand that
I
now?
hope so.
I didn't ask that question that way. I hope so.
I know it's part of
If
the
it's not- if
program
it's not-
where she has to get her own prescriptions filled,
she-
and they monitor that.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't ask that question. I think because she was so matter of fact, like, oh yeah, I'm on my meds
Yeah,
for
but I
sure.
mean,
She learned her
she's only
lesson.
49. When she's 80, will she still be taking these meds?
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Are we
better.
going to make sure does she know even when she's 80, she's not going to
won't
think,
be so
oh,
much trouble for
Yeah.
us then. But.
Obviously, we could talk about this interview all night. We hope you got as much out of it as we did, and let us know what you thought of it in the comment section below.
Thank you.